Breaking. Would the Eagles really trade Nolan Smith for TJ Watt? A wild rumor just exploded across Philly, and fans are losing their minds. But where did it start, and is there any truth to it? Get ready, because this story has everything: betrayal, confusion, and a whole lot of drama. Let's break it all down, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this. The NFL offseason might feel quiet, but in Philly, it just got loud. Right now, a wild trade rumor is spreading like wildfire, and it has fans heated. People are actually asking, would the Eagles trade Nolan Smith for TJ Watt? Sounds insane, right? But here's how it all started, and why it's causing such a stir. The Eagles aren't talking trades. In fact, they seem focused, locked in, and ready for camp. But just as things were settling down, a storm hit the city. This week, Adam Schefter dropped a bombshell. TJ Watt, the former Defensive Player of the Year, is not happy. Contract talks with the Steelers not going well. Reports say Watt is frustrated. And another source added that the last time this happened, Watt told the Steelers straight up, "You're lucky to have me." Their answer, "You're lucky to be here." That tension opened the door for speculation, and Philly took the bait. Suddenly, local fans, bloggers, and sports talk shows couldn't stop asking, what if the Eagles swooped in and made a move? And somehow, Nolan Smith's name got pulled into the chaos. But here's the truth. This whole thing started from a single radio interview. A Pittsburgh host went on WIP and said something like, "Hey, maybe the Eagles offer Nolan Smith and a late-round pick for TJ Watt. I think the Steelers would say yes." And just like that, the internet exploded. Some fans loved it. Others were furious. And local media, they ran with it. Again, sound familiar? Just months ago, WIP floated the idea of trading A.J. Brown to the Patriots. And guess what? That never happened either. So let's set the record straight. The Eagles are not trading Nolan Smith. Period. It's not a thing. There is no real report, no insider whisper, no smoke, just one radio guy talking off the cuff. And here's the kicker. When you actually compare Nolan Smith's numbers to TJ Watt's from last season, they're not as far apart as you might think. In fact, Smith had a better sack rate, pressure rate, and win rate. Even when you only look at pure pass rushing plays, Smith still came out on top. Yes, Watt gets doubled a lot more. And yes, he's still a top-tier player. But Smith is right there. And he's younger. He's faster. He's only going to get better. Why would the Eagles trade away a rising star like that? They wouldn't. They shouldn't. And they won't. If anything, the only move Philly needs to make right now is locking up one of their own. Reed Blankenship. The guy's making just $1.4 million in 2025, and he's been a key piece in this defense. Pay the man. Keep this core together. That's the move. Now it's your turn, Eagles fans. Would you ever trade Nolan Smith for TJ Watt? Rate your confidence in Smith from 1 to 10 in the comments. Let's settle this once and for all. If the Eagles don't give Reed Blankenship a new contract soon, they're making a massive mistake. Right now, he's only set to earn $1.4 million next year, for a guy who just might be the most reliable safety on the roster. That's not just cheap. That's stealing. And if he balls out in 2025 the way everyone expects, his price tag could shoot up into the $20 million per year range, just like that. So why wait? Some insiders say Philly should offer him a 3-year deal, worth around $45 million. That's just $15 million a year, still below what he could earn on the open market. If Howie Roseman wants to save cash and lock down a future leader of this defense, now is the time. And let's be honest, the safety room behind Reed, it's thin, really thin. Every other safety on the roster still has to prove themselves. Blankenship, he's already done that. Coaches love him. Teammates rave about him. And the fans, we've seen him show up again and again when it counts. You want to know what the smartest move Philly could make right now is? Forget flashy trades. Forget big names. Just do what Howie always does Make the low-key move that turns into a long-term win. Sign Reed Blankenship. Early. Save money. Lock in a leader. That's how you win championships, by building from within. Wait, should the Eagles add a WR2? Now let's talk about the other headline that dropped this week, and this one had people scratching their heads. ESPN said the Eagles should sign a veteran wide receiver before training camp. Hold up. What? Names like Tyler Boyd and Keenan Allen were mentioned. Two solid slot options, sure, but that's the thing. Philly doesn't need them. Boyd? He had 0 touchdowns last year. Just 390 yards. He's not the guy he used to be. Keenan Allen? Still productive. He caught 70 passes and scored 7 times last season on a terrible Bears offense. And yeah, he's a veteran presence. But this isn't 2020. This isn't the old Eagles. This team is loaded at wide receiver. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, young guys like Jadon Hazelwood and John Ross fighting for spots. And let's not forget, the coaches clearly believe in Jahan Dotson too. Could Allen or Boyd help in case of injury? Sure, maybe. It's good to know they're still on the market, just in case. But should the Eagles panic and go sign one of them now? No shot. 5% chance, tops. This isn't a desperate team anymore. This is a contender. And then there's Saquon. Now for some real excitement. Saquon Barkley looks ready. Just a few weeks before training camp, videos surfaced of Saquon working out, and let me tell you, the man looks like a machine. Strong. Fast. Locked in. He's not here to blend in. He's here to make noise and follow up his 2,000-yard season with something even bigger. That's the kind of fire you want from your RB1. Even Lane Johnson couldn't stop talking about it on the Pat McAfee show. He said it plain and simple. We could throw it 60 times a game. Our receivers are that good. But when you've got a running back like that, who can get 2,000 on the ground? You feed him. And that's the energy this team is bringing into 2025. Balanced, dangerous, and driven. Now I want to hear from you. Should the Eagles extend Reed Blankenship now, or wait and risk paying more later? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if Saquon runs wild again this year, how far do you think this team can go? Let's talk. Let me just say this loud and clear. Saquon Barkley makes this entire offense dangerous. When you've got a back like that, one who can bulldoze through tackles and break free on any play, it changes everything. The defense can't just sit back. Now they're guessing. If they load the box to stop the run, boom, it's A.J. Brown one-on-one. It's Devonta Smith in space. You stack the line. Jalen Hurts is launching missiles downfield. Lane Johnson broke it down perfectly this week. He said Saquon doesn't just run the ball. He opens up the whole playbook. Play action becomes lethal. Matchups become unfair. The entire field becomes a problem for defenses. Now yes, Barkley might have slightly fewer touches this year. Maybe the Eagles spread it around more. But that's only because guys like A.J., Devonta, and Dallas Goedert are just that good. That's not a downgrade. That's balance. Defensive coordinators are in trouble. You want to stop Barkley? Then try covering A.J. and Devonta one-on-one. You want to double the wideouts? Then try bringing down Saquon in space. Pick your poison. Either way, you're toast. Jersey hype hits Philly, then crashes. Now let's shift gears for a minute, because Jersey Talk just broke Eagles Twitter. This week, A.J. Brown posted a couple of cryptic pics on his Instagram, and fans immediately started buzzing about a new alternate jersey. The pics showed a fresh green, color rush style combo, sleek, sharp, and different. Then, to make things even crazier, a photo surfaced of a white Kelly green Barkley jersey at a retail store. Fans lost it. Was this the next big drop? Were the Eagles finally dropping a new look for 2025? Well, not so fast. According to CBS reporter Jeff Kerr, the Eagles are not one of the teams getting new alternates this season. That honor goes to teams like the Saints, Bucks, Steelers, Seahawks, Commanders, Chargers, and Packers. Philly, not yet. But here's the good news. 2027 is the year. That's when the NFC East joins the NFL City Connect program with Nike. New jerseys, new looks, and word is, Philly will get one. Think bold, think modern, maybe something like a full green on green combo. For now, we've got our current rotation. The classics, the All Blacks, the Kelly Green throwbacks, which still hit hard. And let's be honest, they win in those, so maybe it's not so bad to wait a little longer. Back to the madness. The Nolan Smith trade rumor lives on. And just when you thought we were done with the trade chaos, it circles back around. This week on a live show, one of Nolan Smith's biggest supporters, Josh Davis, was asked about the now infamous rumor, the one that suggested Philly would trade Smith for TJ Watt. His reaction: exactly what we're all thinking. It's crazy. It's idiotic. It makes no sense. He even refused to say the name of the person who started it, because it's that ridiculous. But here's the twist. The rumor still spread like wildfire. Why? Because it's July. Because there's no football yet. Because fans and media want something to chew on, and TJ Watt's name gets clicks. Let's rewind. This all came from a Pittsburgh radio guy appearing on WIP in Philly. He was asked what it would take for the Steelers to trade TJ Watt, and he said maybe they'd want to get younger. Maybe they'd take a player like Nolan Smith and a late pick. Boom. The spark lit the fire. But Josh said it best. This is not happening. Watt is reportedly looking for $39 plus million per year. That's quarterback money. They just paid Jalen Ramsey $26 million, and that deal was massive. Now imagine giving that kind of money to Watt, and losing a rising star like Nolan Smith in the process. No way. Doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense. We're not trading youth, speed, and long-term upside for short-term panic and a contract headache. Eagles fans, time to sound off. What jersey combo would you want to see in 2027? And would you take prime TJ Watt at $39 million? If it meant giving up Nolan Smith and a pick? Drop your takes in the comments below. Let's settle it. So here's how it all started. A radio host from Pittsburgh came on WIP, Philly's biggest sports station, and casually said, if the Eagles offered Nolan Smith and a late-round pick, we'd give you TJ Watt. And just like that, boom, blogs ran with it. Tweets blew up. Nolan Smith for TJ Watt became the headline. But here's the truth nobody's saying loud enough. This was never a real report. It was a guess. But what if a random take on a talk show from a guy trying to fill airtime? Not a rumor from inside the locker room. Not a leak from the front office. Just speculation, and yet somehow it became the story. Let's break it down logically. Why won't this trade happen? 3 simple reasons. 1. Money. TJ Watt is about to demand $39 million a year. Nolan Smith is making $3 million this year. That's 13 times cheaper. For a guy who might hit double-digit sacks himself this season. If you're running a smart front office, you don't throw that kind of money away, especially not when you've got Reed Blankenship due for an extension, and guys like Jalen Carter eventually coming up too. 2. Age. Watt's a beast, no doubt. But he's heading into the back half of his prime. Those 20-sack seasons, they might be behind him. He had 11.5 sacks last year, still great, but not historic. If Nolan gets even 9 or 10 sacks in 2025, and you're only paying him rookie money, that's a win. Long term, Nolan has way more upside. 3. The locker room. This might be the most important part. Nolan Smith is becoming the heart of this defense. He's growing into a new version of Brandon Graham. Not just on the field, but in the locker room. The energy, the leadership, the brotherhood. He's a guy the team loves. He's earned respect, and you don't just wipe someone like that away for a flashy move. Sure, TJ Watts would walk in with experience, but being a leader in Philly is different. You've got to live it. You've got to earn it. And Nolan's already doing that. So no, this trade is not happening. If Howie Roseman wanted Watt, he'd have made the call already. But paying nearly $40 million for an older edge rusher when you've got a younger, rising star in Nolan Smith makes zero sense. And yet, people are still talking about it. Why? Because it feels like a headline. Because a radio host from a WIP sister station said something that made waves. And suddenly, the whole city's talking. Even crazier. Polls show that nearly 40% of fans said they'd take the deal. That's the most shocking part of all. Because here's the real question we all need to ask. Do fans really understand what Nolan Smith brings to this team? The energy, the fire, the upside, the chemistry, the culture. This guy isn't just part of the roster, he's part of the soul of this team. So when you hear all these hot takes and fantasy trades, remember this. Not every what if is worth chasing. Some players are worth keeping, no matter what. Sound off, Eagles Nation. Would you trade Nolan Smith for TJ Watt, knowing all the money, age, and chemistry involved? Vote in the comments. Defend your side. Because this debate isn't going away. You want to know what really sets the Eagles apart from the rest of the NFL. It's not just talent. It's not just coaching. It's loyalty. It's culture. It's how this team treats its own. When you come to Philly, you're not just another guy in a jersey. You're family. And if you give your all, if you play with heart, if you grind, the organization notices. The fans notice. You get appreciated. You get respected. You get paid. That's what Nolan Smith is walking into right now. And that's why the very idea of trading him, this young, high upside, emotionally invested edge rusher, feels like a slap in the face to everything this organization stands for. Howie Roseman doesn't just throw guys away. Yes, he makes bold trades. He's not afraid to shake things up to chase a Super Bowl. But he also knows when to protect his locker room, when to build from within, when to hold on to a player who means more than just sacks and stats. Nolan isn't just a football player anymore. He's becoming one of the emotional leaders of this team, a guy teammates believe in, a guy the city is starting to rally around. He's loud, he's passionate, and he's Philly through and through. And trading him for TJ Watt, even if Watts is still elite, that's not just a roster move, that's a culture hit. It wouldn't destroy the locker room, but it would absolutely shake it. Imagine being a player in that room, seeing one of your own, a foundational voice, a guy you trust and grind with every day, suddenly gone. For someone who's never been part of this group, that changes things. And here's the crazy part. Statistically, Nolan Smith is already catching up to TJ Watt. Yeah, Watt gets more double teams, no one's denying he's been dominant. But if you actually look at the numbers, side by side, Nolan had a better sack rate, a better pressure rate, a better pass rush win rate. And these numbers aren't padded by gimmicks. They come from true pass rushing situations, not run defense, not play action, pure edge work, pure results. Sure, it's a smaller sample size, but guess what? Nolan's just getting started. And that's what makes him so valuable. Even the doubters are flipping the script. Just a few months ago, analysts weren't sure what Nolan would become. Now, respected writers like Reuben Frank say he could hit 12 to 14 sacks this year. He even broke a franchise postseason sack record last year. Let that sink in. This guy is already making history, and he hasn't even reached his prime. So when people say, well, TJ Watt is worth it, ask them this. Would you trade Devonta Smith for Saquon Barkley? Because that's basically what this is. Both are great. Both are stars. But one is a foundational building block. The other is a short-term splash. And we've seen this kind of nonsense before, haven't we? Remember the A.J. Brown to New England rumor? Yeah. That one came from another sister station of WIP in Boston. And guess what? It was total garbage. Just like this Nolan for what noise. Clickbait's radio fuel. That's all it is. WIP is back at it, trying to stir the pot, hoping to spike ratings. But Philly fans, we know better. Drop your take. Eagles fans, do you believe loyalty still matters in the NFL? Would you stick with Nolan Smith, or cash in for TJ Watt? Let's hear it. Vote in the comments and defend your guy. Because in Philly, we ride for our own. Here we go again. Remember when that Boston radio station tried to stir up chaos by saying A.J. Brown was going to the Patriots? Yeah, we all rolled our eyes, and the rumor completely fell apart. Now, it's happening again. Same playbook, just a different city. This time, it's a Pittsburgh radio guy jumping on WP and casually tossing out, "Hey, maybe the Eagles trade Nolan Smith for TJ Watt." And now suddenly, it's everywhere. Why? Because it's July, and the ratings are low. I used to work in sports radio, so I can tell you exactly how this works. These guys are doing 4-hour shows, 5 days a week, in the middle of the dead NFL offseason. You can't talk baseball the whole show. You can't break down NBA free agency when it's already over. MLS, come on! So what do they turn to? The Philadelphia Eagles. And when there's no breaking news, no signings, no real drama, you know what fills airtime better than anything? Fake trade rumors. So no, I don't think these guys are sitting in a room purposely inventing stories. But I do think they know exactly what they're doing when they drop these wild scenarios. And here's the thing, some trade speculation makes sense. You want to throw out an idea about grabbing a backup tight end? Fine. Maybe a pass-blocking T to help out Saquon. Or if someone gets hurt, maybe we dip into that pile of draft picks and make a small move. Cool. That's reasonable. But Nolan Smith, a guy who just broke postseason records, a guy who's growing into the future face of this defense, a guy who represents everything this locker room is about. No, absolutely not. And you know what makes it even more frustrating? People are actually buying it. You've got fans panicking, blogs running wild, polls showing 38% of voters say they'd do the trade, like this is Madden, and you can just swap players with no consequences. Even Josh, who's calm most of the time, admitted he was irritated the moment he saw that story take off. Not panicked, not scared, just fed up with the nonsense. Because at a certain point, you just have to shake your head and ask, what are we doing here? Look, if this trade actually happened, yeah, Josh might need a whole week off just to recover. He'd probably drop the most dramatic YouTube reaction of all time, black and white, slow music, the works. That's how ridiculous this rumor is. You don't trade a cornerstone piece, someone you're building around, just to chase clicks. And yeah, I get it. It's July. The numbers are down. But this kind of talk, this kind of empty noise, Philly fans deserve better. Would you be calm and collected? Or would you need a week of emotional recovery like Josh? Drop your answer in the comments below and tell us. Do fake rumors hurt the fanbase more than help it? Or is it all just off-season fun? Alright, Eagles Nation. We are so close. We're just 2 weeks away from real football, from players reporting, from practices, from pads popping. It's all just around the corner, and you can feel it in the air. Now, let's be real for a second. This part of the off-season, it's tough. It's quiet. And for guys like us, for all of you who live and breathe football, it's been a grind. We're talking about rumors, deep dives, and wild hypotheticals, just to keep the fire burning until the first whistle of training camp. But guess what? Even in these slow weeks, you guys showed up. You still watched the shows. You still hit play. Even when we were breaking down NFC East tight ends or debating third-string safeties, you were there. And we see that. We feel that. We appreciate that. So to every single one of you who kept the Eagles conversation going in June and July, thank you. But now the countdown is real. 2 more quiet weeks. Then boom, it all explodes. Training camp, preseason games, roster battles, and before you know it, Thursday night football hits and the real war begins. And between now and then, yeah, we might still hear some crazy headlines, like maybe the Eagles signed Justin Simmons out of nowhere. Maybe Keenan Allen's name pops back up. Or maybe, knock on wood, an injury changes everything. So yeah, there's still potential for fireworks. But the big spark, that comes when this team takes the field. Oh, and quick update, because a lot of you are asking. No, Drew Makuba hasn't signed yet. But don't panic. He's practicing. He's locked in. And the deal will get done. This isn't Cincinnati. This isn't drama. It's just contract details, wording, numbers, nothing serious. And the moment he puts pen to paper, we'll let you know immediately. Now let's talk about what's coming. Live game streams are back. We'll be here every week, in your ears, on your screens, whether you're watching from home, driving, tailgating, or listening from work. Last year, we had over 100,000 people tune in during our biggest streams. This year, we're going even bigger. We've got new reveals, better breakdowns, and even more ways to make every snap, every play, and every Eagles W feel electric. Preseason will be our warm-up, our test run. But when that Thursday night opener hits, we're coming in full throttle. This fanbase deserves the best. And that's exactly what we plan to give you.